So welcome everybody again to our next Conscious Momentum. I'm Dr. Shelley, and today's Conscious Momentum shares insights, of course, from our special guest who can illuminate even the darkest hour with playful attention to those subtle details of conversation. And to honor that, you'll see that I posted a few links in the chat room. Now, laughter is where we're going with this. Laughter is often the best medicine. And here in our Conscious Momentum, we engage so often in deep and meaningful dialogue, but I want us to remember that laughter also increases subtle energy order. And more than just brightening up your day and sharing a good laugh, this actually improves your health. We all know that. So the sound of laughter draws people together in ways that trigger healthy physical and emotional changes in the body. Laughter reduces stress, anxiety, depression, and strengthens your immune system and can even diminish pain. And we know now with the discovery of mirror neurons, what causes you to smile when someone else smiles at you gives credence to the belief that laughter is contagious, you know. But here's the real gift is laughing at oneself, seeing our human vulnerabilities and embracing them through the lens of loving observation leads us to that contagious freedom also, but freedom from ego. So I just want to say how many times I've enjoyed a great laugh with our special guest, Dr. Paul. And I invite him now to join us and even comment on those ideas and that concept.
Yeah, welcome everybody. I think it's a very nice start. Thank you, Shelley. I remember one of my colleagues in Canada. You know, his name was Jean Drouin, but we were not, brother. You know, but we were sharing the same family name. And, the subject of alternative integrative medicine was so tight, among the medical community. So, and then we were very prudent. So Jean Drouin, who was medicine, he was a specialist who gave this conference on the laughter. And he was very funny. And of course, the medical board and all the tenants against integrative medicine, couldn't do nothing about this because the subject was so not threatening. And by the way, there is so many research now that can speak about the effect of laughing and be happy, and you have also stories, testimony of people who had cancer and then. Finally, they give up everything and they just change their life and get out of this kind of a mode or culture they were, or they were never laughing, and then by spontaneously the cancer just disappeared. You probably heard this story. So the laugh is very important. Laughing at ourselves first, and that's a very important point. So, and then again, we come back every 2 weeks, and I'm all the time like to remind you, to do your daily hour or half hour of course and training. And this week, we have very interesting question. I was very impressed, by the depth of these questions. And again, the many of them was relating to the Quantum Doctor. And then, as I said, I probably read this Quantum Doctor so many times. And that was, for me, an opportunity to go back and refresh the Quantum Doctor, who is kind of a fundamental piece in the curriculum that translates, how consciousness can apply, how quantum physics can apply to the art of healing. And this will, the work of Dr. Goswami will probably be seen in the future as a gate, a port d'entrée, a Trojan horse, inside the medical curriculum. So let's start now with our testimonial. I think, Shelley, do you want to comment about this? Or? The testimonial today is about, of course, a medical doctor. And then the previous week, Julie came on board to share her life, which was Julie Marsh. She's one of our students who decided to go and become a medical doctor. But now he's established medical doctor, and he's speak about the fact that for him, signing in the PhD integrative medicine program was a way to really understand, to add another dimension to medicine. And why I brought this testimonial today is because people are coming from all paths, and as well as a professional license or people coming from the wellness. There is something that can be contributing to make them better practitioner or healer or doctor. And what is missing in medicine today, and many times I talk about it, and this is this dimension to embrace what is integrative medicine. So because to lay out the foundation of a deep understanding, this is where Quantum University come in, and with this quantum physics foundation. And this is very important because we can practice integrative medicine with the same linear mode of thinking, and try to fix problem instead to use medication or use surgery. Now we're using vitamin and products. So I think it's ready now, and then I will continue to comment afterwards.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm already a fully trained, fully British qualified surgeon practicing surgery, but my integrative medicine practice needs a scientific base where it involves both herbals and mind medicine treatment. And I find this in the Quantum University teachings. And that's why I come for the Quantum University. And I also need a degree to certify my practice so that I don't have any legal issues with my allopath colleagues, so that I can survive the practice and help my patients. I've been practicing integrative medicine for more than 30 years. And purely because the illnesses I had and my family had, the Western medicine could not solve it. And I ended up with going to an alternative person, and it changed the entire treatment that I practice and I believe in. And now I want a scientific basis for it. So Quantum University is now providing me for the scientific background for what I've been practicing, and now it will enhance my future practice, which I do totally free. My personal vision in the alternative medicine is that I believe that it is the medicine for chronic illnesses. For acute, yes, we need a combination, a marriage between the alternative and the allopathic for emergency situation. But for a long-term basis, it's an alternative medicine, integrative medicine is the way. Attending Quantum University gives me a new meaning in life and a scientific basis for what I'm trying to do in the future.
All right, you can continue now, Dr. Paul.
So when I came in America in the beginning of 2000, one of the subject of my conference when I was going to an American Association of Naturopathic Medicine was to talk about the fact that there is no way natural medicine or naturopathy will make its path without a scientific foundation. So because the approach to allow people to practice, was very politics. I'm not saying, we should not go and see our governor or senate, and then when you have law coming, to resist to them. But at the end of the day, that resistance will last for a time, and as long there is no way to explain how work life force and the chi, the prana, Ayurvedic in the Ayurvedic medicine or Chinese medicine, there is no way that conventional medicine would embrace or accept these other modalities of healing. This, in other words, that was more like an argument to reject everything in one in one sentence. It's not scientific. It's not teach in university. So then my mission when I came in America was to create a university. Not only that, was not to just align another natural medicine college. It was to lay out a curriculum that will start to explain how work, this southern energy. And then, of course, I was already thinking about this for years, but, the movement, there was a movement out there, also supported by, I will say, a giant or a thinker like Dr. Lipton and Goswami and Dispenza, that was exactly embracing this kind of same idea of neuroscience and how energy work. And so then that was also, adding with them a full curriculum that could, redefine how we address healing. And then you will see at the end of this conscious momentum, another shot of this course we call holistic medicine, where we start to explain how works southern energy, how work meridian acupuncture using this less program. We spoke about the uncertainty principle, and this time we will visit, the chakra. So this is so important, and this is why now Dr. come and this, because you have the same percentage in medicine, that you find in the population of people are interested in these new concepts. So, and I think it's exciting, it's interesting, because, we're not anymore part, there was a time that we would say alternative or complementary. It's like all these modalities were side, and then practice, in some way, under the carpet also. But now today it's joined the full movement of integrative medicine, where you have this, I spoke to this many times, this swing toward the recentering the relation toward the client, empowering the client with this new parameter, and increasing the responsibility, of the client to generate its own health. So the consciousness understanding of it is very important. So I don't want to go too long now, because we have so many interesting questions. I think, Shelley, you can already go with the questionnaire from the participant. Okay. And so we cover that as many as possible.
Yes, absolutely. We'll jump right in here. So the first question, Dr. Paul poses a question in one of his videos in the IM 600 course about coupling the supramental and physical with tachyon energy, and if it carries sacred geometric information to intelligently reconnect the physical to clear the blockages in the mental, emotional, and vital levels, increasing coherence. And what is this geometric information you speak of?
Okay, let's first, before I answer the question, exactly, it's like I like to explain the context of it. It's like we redefine, how to look at the individual, coming with this 5 body of consciousness that has been that has talked Dr. Amit Goswami, which is the physical, the vital, the mental, the supramental. And at the end of the day, what is come out is like a healing approach that will address different dimension of the individual. Of course, integrative medicine is not putting aside, conventional medicine, but the conventional medicine is more targeting the physical body. And then the other approach, like acupuncture and homeopathy and Ayurvedic medicine, are more in the realm of vital body. And then we come at the mental. So now you have another spectrum of approach, that are more addressing the mind. Here you have EFT, NLP, psychotherapy, meditation, brain training, working on the belief system, and so on. And then you have this supramental layer, that in some way is a little bit abstract. And Dr. Goswami will just say there is no representation for the supramental. These are law and rules, and they are, you know, in some way what is guiding, you know, the vital body. This is like the innate information. And in the wisdom of these ancient tradition, you know, this is where we find what we call the sacred geometry. All these, you know, one example, by example, is the flower of life. And I refer to Nassim Haramein that has scrutinized this flower of life and discover, you know, when we discovered in this class that this flower of life is probably is imprint on the many temples all over the world. When I went in China, you know, you know, there was like this at the palm of the lion, you know, you have this flower of life, and you find the imprint in another, in Egypt and everywhere. So everyone was questioning, you know, the fact that, you know, where this information come from. And then when Nassim started to look at this, you know, with then he looked at the flower of life as like a fundamental blueprint, you know, that in some way, you know, is organizing all the structure of within the field, the biofield. So, and this is why in some way, you know, we try to, when we work, we cannot address specifically the supramental, but all these archetypes are reflected in what we call the sacred geometry. And then this sacred geometry has also been exploited or taking advantage, you know, with some technology with crystal, where these shapes are imprint, or these substance or crystal are pre-informed with this sacred. So the idea now is like the global idea is like now you can approach an imbalance. You know, previously it's like, oh, we just have the physical dimension to try to correct an imbalance, but now we realize after few years of conventional medicine that you don't go at the core of the problem. You just you fix symptoms. You know, you don't really cure. You have to go at that other layers, the vital, and then why not in some way work at the biofield itself with this, you know, with this sacred geometric form. And not only Nassim speak about this, but now, you know, you have technology like we use now with the noosphere, the Terafy, which is a scalar type of technology, where in some way you can shape the biofield accordingly to this, you know, double torus, you know, creating kind of an implode force where, you know, you try to reharmonize the field accordingly to the golden ratio. In other words, you know, can we in some way, instead to go and try to tap or approach at the physical level, can we approach this at a more subtle level at the biofield, using either a sacred geometry or using scalar approach, where you can in some way reharmonize the energy, and then of course this will ripple in the vital, in the physical, and down to the physical, to the vital, the physical. Because I don't know if you remember in some class when we speak about the fact that, you know, higher frequency can permeate lower frequency. In other words, you can you know, create a tiny impulse, and this is what is homeopathy in some way, and this is what is also meditation. And then in this impulse of harmony, you know, can ripple at other level, and then you repeat this information again and again, and then oops, you know, you're amazed that, you know, some chronic disease or some situation gets resolved, and because you have work at a more subtle level of energy. So when we will start to expose our course of holistic anatomy, you will start to understand that. And there is more and more science about this, who speak about, you know, biophoton, and speak about, you know, the field of information, And this is where this old ancient system, in some way had a kind of an understanding of the subtle energy, was starting to work with, this sacred geometry. And then when they are explored by physicists like Nassim now, he start to understand that these sacred geometry, they are not like random. No, they just reflect the perfect organization of the universe. So in other words, you go, deeper and deeper, and then you work with an imprint of, an imprint that define the perfect, reorganization of the field. Now, and then you can have an influence. So in that course, I start to speak about that. This is what I call the multi-dimensional approach. In other words, you look at the individual, you try to do an evaluation, and this is why we offer this evaluation, with different model of 5 elements, 5 bodies, and Ayurvedic medicine. So we start to understand, and then we add to do. I'm redesigning this class now. We are redesigning this class and add other information that will come from digital healthcare. This sensor that can reflect, the heart rate variability, the coherence of your brain, and so on. And then if you go a little bit further, you start to also explore what is doing functional medicine that is in some way physically align what you find with these other parameters, reinforce the other parameters. So in other words, it's like this, I have defined, this multidimensional approach. You have the evaluation, and then you see where, instead to just, shoot everywhere with this device, now you start to narrow what will be your intervention, if it's more a mental problem, or it's more a vital body problem, or it's more like a spiritual problem or a physical problem. So hopefully that adds some lightning to this question.
It definitely added lightning, and I tell you, your answer could give us like 6 or 8 hours just exploring every one of those sentences that you just shared, but the sacred geometry, even if you're just holding that image in your heart and in your feeling, in your mind, when you're meditating, that activates that tachyonic energy, or that scalar, or whatever you want to refer to it as. It's that divine spark that's within us, and that's all it takes to really activate that. So Dr. Paul, you gave us so much information, and we could go for hours on that, but I'm going to move on to the next question here.
Yeah, and I will add to, this is why also in the Taoist medicine, I implement, an approach where you use crystal, and you use also the imprint of this sacred geometry. And one of the more classic one is the flower of life, because, if you go with the work of Nassim and others, the flower of life in 3 dimensions, the piece component is the tetrahedron. So it's like you put tetrahedron together, then you end with this 3-dimensional flower of life. So this is a very important one for me. Why not use this when you do crystal acupuncture and this, or meditation? And this is why you have these tools reflect in these other course to other classes.
Right, and that's why the food dogs are right there at the opening to the temples, because you've already triggered that within you before you even step into the temple. But look at that! See, we could have a whole conversation about that. I'm going to ask the next question. Here
okay, good.
I believe Dr. Paul's insight and commitment to communicate via intention with energy and motion, this is yoga, Tai Chi, those sorts of things, does generate a coherent current of tachyonic energy. Could this be how and why enlightenment and awakening actually occurs? Now, this came from Jamie, who we talked about last week, and she sent us a video, and I sent it to Dr. Paul, Jamie, and he's seen it, and it's really wonderful. I don't know that we have time to show it this week. Dr. Paul, what do you think? And what did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, because we have so many questions, but what you communicate, is very it's a very important subject for us, and in some way the project Noosphere, this is another project aside of the university, where we invite people to meditate every day with this intention: heal yourself and heal other. This is what it is. Because I believe also, in the collectivity. It's like, yes, my intention maybe generate some kind of harmony, but no, what if we are 100 every day, or 1,000 every day, or 10,000 every day, creating this kind of impulse? And we pursuing this project of research with the project Noosphere, where we add also the bioplasma technology to reinforce, to carry on this intention. So because we can use also scalar technology to in some way build this kind of egregore, this platform of this coherent energy, quantum coherent energy, where everybody can resource to it. So this is the idea of the project Noosphere. So I don't believe, one person is good, if you are a Gandhi, but if you're not a Gandhi, then you gather with others to generate this coherence that we are talking about. So be very attentive. We are preparing now a new website, new idea with the project Noosphere, new research, and I think all together, we can make a difference, to ripple this idea of consciousness all over the world. This, for me, it's like we are now in a phase of polarizing people around idea and politics, but at the end of the day, what we need is to raise the awareness, so that people start to understand, that everyone talk from some kind of perspective, and more we deeper our own awareness, it's like, and more we have access to creativity. Now we start to look at the world differently. And so what you talk about is very important. And by the way, if now with the holistic anatomy, the research, the science go around the idea more biophoton now than and tachyons. Tachyons is still out there. This is more like a virtual particle, but with the research of Prop and others, the term of biophoton, the light thing, is more like the one who carry the information. So we're still in research, to try to understand, these other layers of information.
That's right. Okay. And we're not even really certain that it's actually a particle. It might be more correctly referred to as a phenomena. But anyway, so Jamie, for those who can stay afterwards, I'm going to share your video after we've completed our conscious momentum, after the formal part. Okay, so moving on though, and this is still from Jamie. She's saying, I wanted to take this a step further as it goes with my earlier insight on movement of the field to heal others. She's saying that she feels tingles, and she's wondering, is this tachyon energy? When she meditates and does yoga, she can feel the currents, as she's moving and gesturing with her hands and her body. And so she's saying, could it be possible that we can transfer the tingle? Can we transfer the knowing? Or
Absolutely. And Dr. Goswami speak about it, when you have this, collapse of energy, you can have some feeling at the chakra level, and you can have feeling in your body. So, but it's different from it. Some individuals are more kinesthetic, some people are more auditive, or some people mix everything together. But of course, if you do the quantum touch, and I was here in Hawaii, what we call the art of divine light. When you give light, you can feel the energy going through your hands, and you can, and some will have this tingling. And absolutely, this can be project. This is the idea of intention at distance. Some people can, through prayer, of course, they are maybe less kinesthetic. They can send this healing intention, in the state of meditation. Some people can send it with their hands, and you feel this sensation of energy. And by the way, you go to a Tai Chi class, the first class, they teach you, you know, to put your hands like this, and then you distance them, and you feel this this heat, you know, coming on, and sometimes you can have tingling, and more than that, sometimes, you know, this is a recognition. This is a personal experience I do. You know, in other words, when someone is talking about something that is kind of subtle, a spiritual experience, you can have this kind of, you know, sparkle all along your spine, you know, and then now you understand that, you know, it's like, oh, something is happening now. You don't know exactly, but something. And everyone is different. We don't see, be very important now. Some people get caught and giving so much importance to this. You just witness it, you let it go. Some may feel it, not feel it. Some people can see color, can see energy. Don't necessarily geek out in this kind of an ego thing, you know, where you every time you have to feel that, or, you know, it's like when you have a deep experience of meditation, the day after you think you would get there. But no, just, and this is what I learned with some meditation master. I was in Switzerland in the 78, 79 with Maharishi. He will never pay attention to this kind of phenomena, but of course they are some kind of proof, and this is why also in pro-consciousness meditation I take advantage of this, because, you know, you can in some way, you know, create a circularity, you know, with your hand. So if you hold a crystal, and then this energy flow to your hand, and now you point the panel, and this panel, let me tell you, you know, it's like it's a gateway, it's a door, you know, and then people do meditation and for years, and this, for most of the people, the panel is kind of dormant because it has been calcified, you know, with all these bombardment of EMF or the nutrition, the pesticide and everything. So you use this, you know, this this phenomena of quantum touch that, you know, channel to the crystal, and the crystal itself has a piezoelectric effect and can warm up your panel. So if you go in the pro-consciousness meditation class, you will learn this. Yes, but this is, you know, you have a gift, it's precious. You can send this healing all over the world. You can join the noosphere every day. And then when you do this, you know, just for a few minutes or few seconds, yeah, you hold your hands and you send this healing energy to the whole world. It's precious.
It's very precious. And we could come back to the piezoelectric energy too, and pressures, but we'll move on. This next question is about the double slit experiment. Our student would like to know, how does the information get around so quick? How does the particle know that there are more than 2 slits, and are they organic? Is it, or no, it is the photon that offers to come within us, and we either accept the offer or decline it. That's a question. Religion refers to the infilling of the Holy Spirit. So is this infilling the holy photon? In other words, is this the holy light that's spoken about? And then they go on to say, we have little choice but to acknowledge that photons, which are energy, do appear to process information, obviously, and act accordingly.
So do you have finished? Or?
Yeah, that's finished. I just thought that maybe I should go back and emphasize the question, but if you got it, that's awesome.
Oh yeah. So these are the quick key questions, you know. And Dr. Goswami speak about it. It's like, you know, when you are in the non-locality, you know, information communicate like, you know, instant. There is no no distance. And now we are not at the speed of light, you know. It's like, and now how it works. So what is the carrier of that information? So now you have different people coming from different angles. You know, with holistic anatomy, there is a lot of research and data about biophoton, and in some way they translate that they are the carrier of the information. So, but I still believe that there is a lot of research to do. Nassim came along and he said the protons, you know, is the carrier of information. And you should see the interview I done with him, you know, and this is, we're talking about this, you know, so there is different approach or theories, but what's matter, it's, you know, it's a real phenomenon. And now, and then what is, you know, how far can we go with science? How far can we go? How far quantum university can go? Because when you start to pass a frontier, then you get in a realm, another dimension. We spoke about the vital, the mental, and now we speak about the bliss body. So this, for me, is like a sacred space, because all depend, where you're born, with culture you're born, with religion. Then when the bliss of that level collapse in an experience, it has tendency to be translated in accordingly to your ancestor, accordingly to where you're born, and accordingly to and this is why now you start to have and people coming out of these experience, and when they come out of it, they try to translate this in a word, but it's almost unspeakable. And then if you are Catholic, you translate this way. You are Buddhist another way, another. So how far science can go? I don't think science should go in that sacred space. In the class we designed, where I end is like, everybody has a kind of a common denominator that everybody can share. The consciousness experience, the mindfulness experience. And then if you add the crystal, then you can go a little bit deeper, and then you transcend. But after that, it's up to you, to translate this in the Holy Spirit, which is an incredible, powerful experience. When someone has done the experience, he will speak in tongue, he will, but not necessarily everybody will collapse this kind of event, if it doesn't belong to the same culture. So this is where we need to have like a respect. We need to just leave this freedom. For me, it's like, and when I teach a pure consciousness meditation, it's like, hey, here, there is a path, there is a technique, there is a way to accept, to transcend, and then from there, anything can happen. Healing can happen, communication with your creator can happen, or an experience of nothingness can happen. I'm not the one who can control this. So it's up to everyone. And then there is no space, there is no time. It's not just if information travel, instantly, but even some scientific. What was the name of this anesthetist in the bleep? He's speaking about the time. No time, no space. You can backward, then you can forward, and then you can change a lot of things. If you start to explore now people who went in this realm, and then you go in different religion, you have what we call mystic. And this mystic, they translate this most of the time in religion term, but most of the time they translate this in an experience of extreme bliss and love. And at that level, I'm telling you, there is no argument. There is no argument between the Christian, the Buddhist, or the other one. There is no argument, because when you experience the unconditional love, the light, the God, and they say, so no, it's everybody is almost at the same place. So, but it doesn't belong to a science. For me, it's like, it's sacred, it's personal, and then you wish it for everybody. But what is missing today, this is what I'm coming back, is to train people to access this altered state of consciousness, to train people to transcend, to train people to go beyond the mind. And if you go in the seminar of Dr. Dispenza, he's just talk about it, because if you are caught in the conditional world, and we will speak about this later on when we speak about creativity, you are doomed. You can just reproduce what you know and what you have already done. You're almost predictable. So you have to get out of this to access, supramental and fundamental creativity, to create something new, and make happen, healing happen. So, and then, but is important at this point to know, is the carrier photon or is the proton? I think you should investigate that. you should investigate that. There is, you know, theory about it, and they are very exciting. And but I don't think at this time, you know, the whole scientific community is one baya, you know, home baya is will agree with all this, even the biophoton, you know, this is a, they start to lay out hypotheses with this, but it's, I don't think it's a consensus of the whole community. Thank you.
Right, right. Well, consciousness certainly isn't limited to photon, but it certainly can express through that. I think that consciousness has,
Absolutely.
not so much that we have consciousness. And language, as you said, is really what limits us. So things like Jamie's dance, you know, or expressing these truths in another way, perhaps will create some new language. And maybe that's also why it's so important, our sacred, our ancient sacred languages like Sanskrit and so on, because maybe they're a bit closer to the truth. Even the Hawaiian language, I think, can express that truth a bit more accurately. But anyways, we're going to move on.
Shirley has a, she side with a an interpretation. but bottom line, they if you say Holy Spirit, you know, you find the Holy Spirit in many culture. The concept of Trinity, you know, that you find in Catholicism, you find it in the Buddhists too. You know, you have the three gunas and the Shiva, and the, you know, you have the and they have also the most of the time, and then some today are exploring, you know, the Egyptian mythology or mystic. And they find similarity with Virgin Mary, because, you know, you have this polarity, mother and father. You know, it's like, for me, it's like, instead of trying to look for difference, let's look for common ground. And then we'll realize that there is a lot of similarity between all these cultures, and between all, much more than we could think. But, you know, this is where is the thing, you know. But today it's like, oh no, they divide religion, and some religion, they try to destroy the temple and the memory of the status. This is totally ridiculous, you know, because that's nothing to do. Where is going evolution is dwelling with concept, archetype, you know, refining the archetype of God and dwelling with it within your consciousness in meditation. This is where is the delight and the bliss. You know, it's not, you know, trying to force things and impose a belief, you know, a linear belief to an individual. This is totally, you know, not evolutive. You know, it's a lack of evolution. It's very primitive, this way of thinking. So this is why when we come with pro consciousness meditation, the idea is like, trying to raise consciousness in awareness, trying to make happen the more and more moment into meditation and or other experience, so that at the end of the day we enhance, you know, we create, we produce this new, and everybody has spoke about it, this kind of this, what is the next step in evolution, you know, because we have to in some way shift to something different, because now we are kind of trapped and caught and doomed and in the technology and but there is a way extreme other way to create energy, or, you know, to create technology that we don't have any clue at this time.
I agree with you.
Okay, let's take the other question.
Yes, and so that brings us to the common ground. One area that is common ground for all of us is our DNA, which is the next question. I was reading an article on DNA and how only 2 to 3% of our genes use protein, and that 97 and 98% of our DNA is not used in this way. So obviously 98% cannot be junk, and that's a huge percentage of our makeup. So her question is, the DNA not being used, studied, and does it have to do with our personality traits, and what more could you explain on this topic?
So I brought a few slides about it, because this Dr. Dispenza talk about it. It's like the idea today is like, yeah, we have more junk DNA that we have, but what is junk DNA? It's a DNA that is not informed, that is just, you know, latent, you know, in potential. and waiting for to be reinformed, you know. And this is where can we bring this slide that I brought for this?
Yes.
And this is where I land the theory, you know. It's like here, you know, because you know, when you look at health imbalance, disease, you start to understand, you know, the engineering of spontaneous healing. In some way, you know, when you face chronic disease or you face cancer or you face now, it's like you need to get out of this trap, you know, have like an event or a spontaneous healing, a ha-ha moment that will allow to, you know, in other words, reinform your genes, you know, with other belief or other information. And this is where this idea of junk DNA came along. So, and this is where Lipton and Dispenza speak about, you know, you can shape your genetic destiny. And this is so important today. You have to understand now, like we are at the age of the genes. You know, everybody's sending their sample and then, but the outcome could be, oh, this is where I'm heading now. It's like I'm determined by my gene. In other words, it's like, you know, oh, here I already have an imprint of Alzheimer or this or that, and then or my parents or father are died or dead of this, and then I have this percentage. Now it's like now you have two schools. One is say you determined by your gene, and now let's try to fix things, you know, and then you go in the surgery where you start to let's stay on the first slide. So yeah, you go to surgery, you take medication, and then of course pharmaceutical will exploit this a lot. You know, you have this gene, you do this. You know, the first reflex, you know, of this very famous actress that the mother had the breast cancer or ovarian cancer, you know, was to, oh, I would take out my breasts and I take out my ovaries and then I'm okay. So, but now the other school like Lipton and Dispenza are saying, hey, now we have much more material DNA that is not even programmed, and then we can shape the information there of this junk DNA, so some people, you see in this slide, we say we express 1.5% of our DNA. 98% is similar to the same fund. 8.5 is junk. So that number changed sometime from 98 to 95, but that's not really matter. Not manifest, waiting full potentiality. So this is where meditation come in now. This is where you know all these seminar and workshop that try to transcend, go beyond the mind, and then reprogram and reorganize the information that you know you don't head where is your ancestor, but you head to your full potentiality. You want to go further. If your ancestor has lived until 80, you want to live 120. But then you can imagine, you know, how much you have to reprogram and how much is in your unconscious, you know, dragging you down. So this is what we're talking about. If you are not defined by a vision of the future, that line, you know, come from Dr. Dispenza. If you are not defined, so in other words, if you have no vision for the future, you are caught in the conditional world. You are predictable, and then you just follow the program that is already there. So how important is meditation now? How important is that you start to grow in awareness? How important is that you start to be more aware of your own unconscious tie, you know? And that so you start to, in some way, seed something different. So this is seeding, you know, through meditation, through other technique. Me, I'm very, you know, more familiar with meditation because it's so powerful. But you know, there's other way. You know, there's not only one path. So you are left with your memories, and your genetic destiny is predictable. So everybody, I hope, has caught that, because you will be out there tomorrow, the embodiment of this consciousness medicine, and then you will be working with doctor and nurse. You will be in hospital, and they all count with this determinist thing. There is no way to get out of the determinist if there is no access to creativity. And this is another question I start to answer now. creativity is like going beyond the mind. It's be the capacity to, potential, to get your full potential, imprint this junk DNA. So let's move on to the next slide now. And yeah, this comes from the Dr. Dispenza class, and he speak about here the effect of thought on the physical. So you have research now that has been shown, and you look at the DNA. So this is very interesting. Let's look at the other slide here. And this is what we were speaking a few minutes ago. When we were speaking about sacred geometry, you have this kind of a torus field now. And then, of course, if you were adding this flower of life, and then why? Because when you can go, you try to do things with your mind, but you can also go a little bit higher or more subtle, with the structure of the field itself. This may explain why DNA is so sensitive to the toroidal field of energy. And this is where today, this scalar technology like the Terafy work at this level, it work in some way to reharmonize this toroidal field, creating what they call an implosion and taking advantage of a conjugation phase waves and so on. So this kind of a technical word, but in short, what it means is just to reshape your biofield accordingly to a more harmonized structure. The field can be shaped through meditation, DNA, full potential. And then this is also how you reprogram your DNAs, because you reshape your biofield, you work at a more subtle level, you bypass in some way the mind, you bypass all these, the unconscious, and then you go at that level. So let's go the other one. So junk DNA and meditation, healing, repair, cell repair. In this seminar with Dr. Dispenza, miracle happens when you work at that level. Healthy placenta, suppression, telomere, and then the telomere thing is another phenomena. So I hope I answered that question quickly. Junk DNA, it has been said a lot about it. Not saying it's all hardcore science, but this is where there is a trend now going there. It's like here, this junk DNA is just a potential of that where you can imprint your information and take your genetic destiny in hands. So let's move on now to the next question.
Alrighty. God cannot be incorporated into the scientific worldview because if causal determinism is true, then we can only include consciousness as a dual object, and the answer is true. But I have doubts about consciousness. Let's see, is consciousness a wholeness concept or a dual object? Let's see, the energy flowing throughout.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, okay, the energy flowing throughout the energetic continuum comes from one source. In India, it's called the Divine Mother. Christianity calls it the Holy Spirit. And in many spiritual teachings, it is simply referred to as cosmic energy. In our course, it's called 0 point or free energy. If 0 point energy is not a particular form of energy, such as an etheric or astral or supermental or vital, 0 point energy must be formless potentiality and simply the source of everything. If all realms of the subtle energies are just parts of the energetic continuum, what is the very first energetic structure that emerges out of non-structured, formless 0 point energy? Is it Ganesh or the sun, and said to include all energies within itself, like Divine Mother, Holy Spirit, etc., plus some form or structured field? And would that structured field be sound or light, the original form?
So deep.
Oh, it's
but
deep.
I'm totally agree with what she's saying. But I'm totally agree with the question. But that question is really not well written, because the question is tricky. Of course, consciousness is not dual. That you are you are in, you know, you need to be in the linear reality to speak about duality, you know. So, but the way that you read the question is just not well shaped. So I would suggest to this person to rewrite this question. You know, that, you know, it makes sense, because this is it's just a linguistic. It's just like the question has been written. You know, if you read deep, and you put everything together, it's true. But, you know, they have tricked the question. So, but what everything you said after is absolutely right. You know, and you speak about this singularity point, and I speak about this also in the pro-consciousness meditation. So how you transcend, and then you you can transcend with the sound, you know, and that was, you know, the experience of transcendental meditation. It's like, you know, the mind by itself will be attracted. You know, it's like a gravity phenomena to go all the time toward more delight and delight and delight out when there is no thought anymore. So, and
so what comes
so now,
first?
is it sound or light?
Yeah, what comes
you know,
first?
it's what you said.
I said, what comes first, sound or light?
Oh yeah, then this is a religious answer. You know, you go in the, you know, in the Saint John Gospel. You know, you know, when they speak about the verb, we should read this one. It's, you know, the verb, and then they speak about the light and the one who received the light. So, you know, it's like if you go according to this, is the sound. But, you know, it's pretty theoretical, because at the end of the day, after you transcend, you know, you access to this light phenomena. You know, it's like which one is first? It's like the chicken and egg. You know, and we can be the, you know, dancing for the rest of our life trying to find which one. But what's really matter for me is the experience. Is to experience meditation. You know, is to transcend. Is to have this within experience of light and observing it, and then for yourself, you know, what is first. You know, what is first. And then what she said is exactly what I talked about. You know, Christians speak about Holy Spirit, and another one speak about you know, I don't remember all the term, but, you know, they have different language to translate that. This is where, you know, when you cross this frontier of the sound, you know, it's sacred. You know, it's belong to and all depend, you know, where you're born, raised, and what I said, you know, how you will dress the whole experience, because the whole experience of bliss is beyond the supramental. And Goswami talked very beautifully about it. He said, you know, you cannot put it in words. You know, you live an experience. That experience transform you, you know, and then when you come out of this experience, you know, you can never put it in words. And then you have two individuals that has done the same experience, and then down the road in a year or 2 or 3, they will talk about something different. So we just give up to the idea. It's like, let it go. It's like, you know, it's not what's matter is the experience itself. And this is where come this idea of when you transcend and your experience is altered, that, you know, you start to transfigurate in some way your DNA to another kind of quality. And then you look in the history of saints and mystics, you know, these people, many of them was thaumaturge. They were able to heal. Saint Therese d'Avila, Saint John, because they were flying, they were levitating. And they are not the only one. You go in India, you find the same phenomena. So the body acquire other property, you know, that are more quantum. You know, more and more and more, you visit the space, you know, little by little. I am sorry, but drug doesn't, it's not what it is. You know, people, they want something, try a shortcut, and they think they are so smart, and they think they have understood everything to the experience of drug. But this is a phenomena that take times, you know, how to start with, you know, physicality and then transmute to another. You know, it takes years, and it has also to be reflect in qualities, you know. It has, this is what I speak about in Taoist medicine. So it's another thing. But what's matter, it's not the answer of that question, it's the experience. how you, and if you visit the pro consciousness meditation class, I speak about singularity, speak about light, and but it's up to everyone to say, to answer, oh, it's the sound, it's the light. For me, I would say it's the sound, but when you transcend the sound, then it's the light. But who is first? Yeah, that's you can take your life journey, lifetime to answer that. But it's like it's quantum. Is it wave or is particle? Are you in the wave form, which will be the light form? Are you in the particle mode, or which is the sound mode? But
Well,
both are true.
yeah, and the experience is what matters, because it actually comes down to all potentiality.
So and then for years, generation, philosopher or theologian, they were lost in this intellectual endless conversation, and then one day Saint Thomas Aquinas, he was this kind of theologian, and he was like recognized like the doctor of the church. And then one day during his mass, he made a transcendent experience. He experienced what he was talking about for years. And he said, I will throw away, trash all my books for that moment of experience. So yes. Welcome to that. It's like you can write. It's nice to write, talk about it, but just go, and it's like talking about the ice cream on the cherry on the just but it's much better to eat it. What do you think? What do you think,
right. I think you're right. And maybe if we did just go into the experience, that experience is going to teach us about the next levels, and maybe those levels are so much more refined that light and sound are just baby steps, that they really aren't even that important. But anyway, let's move on. We only have 2 questions, and they're quick ones. So
okay, good.
Correspondence principle, please provide a little more explanation. What is the correspondence principle?
Okay, I would try to explain this one. I thought this question bugged me in some way. I went back to the Quantum Doctor book, and again, you have to read this so many times. So the correspondent principle is like because if we speak about conventional medicine, and then we start to speak about integrative medicine or quantum medicine. So when both, it doesn't mean now in today, there was a time it's like one would disqualify the other. Now to this integral or integrative approach, we understand that no, it's not really exact. It's like one can reinforce the other. You can look at medicine, by example, doing very good in emergency medicine, very good in crisis, but it doesn't mean you have to deny about it, because when you come with integrative medicine, with this kind of overview that I'm talking about, you can integrate the physical, the vital, and all the other layers of information. So this is the correspondence principle. In other words, the quantum in some way, don't reinforce one each other. So this is what we call, it's like the quantum and the conventional corresponding together. This is, if you go back in the Quantum Doctor book, this is the way they explain that.
Yes, and
good.
There's many other correlations. You'll find a lot about that in alchemy. Okay, creativity is the basis of the quantum healing process. Anyone can use creativity to deal with the epidemic proportions of chronic disease that is a huge problem for those in middle age and the elderly. Could you please explain more how to use creativity to deal with epidemic proportions of chronic disease?
Yeah, you see, this is my strategy in some way, because the doctor go to medical school, and naturopath go to naturopathic doctor school, but there they learn what we call a linear approach, where you fix problem. So as long you caught in this kind of education, where at the end of the day you have 2 options, pharmaceutic, surgery, or even products, natural products. So you are and then there's another question about fundamental creativity and situational creativity and conditional creativity. In other words, you stay in the realm of conditioning. So in other words, you don't have access to the cause root of problem. When you go in the creativity mode, this is where you have access to this phenomena of, spontaneous healing and understanding, other dimension that can resolve chronic disease. So how to resolve the epidemic for me is, there's many ways, but the first is, let's have a medical curriculum or a natural medicine curriculum that open the mind to this other dimension of creativity, because creativity doesn't exist in medicine. You have a diagnosis, you are in the box, and here you have a prognosis. And here, most of this prognostic is, no, we cannot cure this, we can reduce the symptom, and then, we try to, do the best with your thing. So you have an autoimmune problem, you have a degenerative problem, you have this. So you just come with medication that in some way try to reduce the symptomatology of it. So this is what we're talking about. So, and then if you look now, it's like, another word, the education of the healer, the doctor, the practitioner has to have access to this update model of science that are carried by the quantum physics, number one. Number two, of course, now we come with, people, they need to learn, and this is already out there. They start to learn, the mindfulness meditation, the heart rate variability. And this is where the digital healthcare medicine come along, where, clients will start to have like sensor, try to start to train these people. And this is where the coaching come along. And this is why we're redesigning this class of coaching where, the practitioner will be able to train the client to be able, to add more creativity to this life and get out of this conditioning. So if you just talk about the junk DNA, the genetic, no creativity, you are doomed. You don't have any vision. You cannot redefine your genetic destiny. This is what I call creativity. And creativity can apply to the economy. This is what Dr. Goswami does, can apply to any field. The politic crisis that we are going through now, the solution is creativity. This is why I wrote my book, Creative Integrative Intelligence. Without creativity, we will not discover now the next era of technology that will have access to the energy of the field. Without creativity, we will think now that the next step is to come back to the communism, the capitalists becoming communists, the communists becoming, this is just a part of the solution. The regime itself, we already have history of people that have be following this kind of politics or this type of regime and system. We just have to look at this to understand that none is perfect, and some has created more problem than other. This is not where is the solution. The solution is in the creativity, gathering all together, trying to start to heal just with the intention, and create new technology that will in some way clean the environment and change the vector, the direction where we are heading with the global warming and so on. So we need creativity to answer these problems. So creativity in medicine, creativity in everything, and we get more and more creative when we meditate, because you create new brain circuit. And what is creativity? It's a brain that is just more interconnected than another. Today, with this brain scanning, this is what we start to be aware. In the past, they will estimate the IQ of a person, if they were able to do this kind of test and the speed. But now you just have to look at the brain scan and how much neurocircuitry you have and how much, and then this is how you evaluate the IQ. And then the way to increase that is meditation. not a kind of a dreamy meditation, the meditation that we're talking about, the core consciousness meditation, where you transcend when you have access to this altered state of consciousness, when you use technology that can, warm up your panel and so on. And the noosphere, now we're adding also the scalar technology, the Terafy, to collectively amplify this field of quantum coherence.
Fantastic. And that creativity can expand our language. But, we're talking meditation here. Maybe that's where toning and chanting bring on those divine visions as well. And maybe that's going to lead. But look at here, I'm finished with the questions, but I'm going to provide a little tease because we really don't have time to get into this question. But next Conscious Momentum, May 9th, we're going to look at the deep connection that Einstein had discovered between energy and mass, because one of our students has had a brilliant, beautiful, magical insight. That's just a little tease I'm leaving you with. Dr. Paul, it's almost time to say aloha, but did you want to share that video on the subtle physiology?
Yeah, let's look at the subtle physiology. It's very interesting. We will also address, the chakra, how work chakra with this scalar understanding. And it's a very fascinating, because a few years ago, if you say chakra in medicine, they will all look at you like you are weird. But not today. There is more and more science, and plus, we wake up to the fact that these chakras also connect to gland, and there is an interconnection with this energy and the whole field. So, and then now I invite you to listen this video now that has the most update information in science to understand the chakra that we call subtle physiology.
Listen. Physicists like Akimov and Shipov, 1996, have discovered the existence of rotating fields known as torsion fields. These fields are not classical and have a scalar nature, informative field. The scalar nature is related to the informative aspect. The chakras of Vedic literature can be torsion fields capable of receiving and processing information from the most subtle fields. They are whirling vortices of subtle energy involved with the flow of higher energies into the cellular structures of the physical body, true energy transformers. According to the subtle physiology of Hindu philosophy, these energies flow through the nadis, 72,000 in all. The energy channels nourishing the nervous system, brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. Anatomically, the chakras are associated with the nerve plexus and endocrine glands, transforming the energies of the higher dimensions into glandular hormonal production that influences the physiological and organic processes. The more subtle information, therefore, is transformed into chemicals by the glands as they are influenced by the scalar waves produced by the chakras. Each of the chakras is related to certain physical processes, organs, and psycho-emotional processes. The first has energetic relationships with the kidneys, large intestines, bladder, adrenal, and catabolic processes. The second is associated with the ovaries, prostate, uterus, and reproduction. The third has energetic relationships with stomach, spleen, pancreas, liver, gallbladder, small intestine, and anabolic processes. The fourth is associated with the thymus gland, immunity, and the heart. The fifth has energetic relationships with the lungs, throat, thyroid, and speech organs. The sixth is associated with pituitary, eyes, and middle of the brain. The latter has energetic relationships with the pineal and cerebral neocortex. Regarding the emotional and psychic aspects, the first chakra is linked to selfishness, competitiveness, and orientation toward survival. The second is linked to fear, sexual instinct, lust, and love. The third is linked to pride, anger, indignity, and resentment. The fourth is linked to universal love, feeling of loss, hurt, and jealousy. The fifth is linked to freedom of expression and frustration. The sixth is linked to mental clarity as well as cognitive confusion. The latter is linked to spiritual satisfaction and inner fulfillment, but also to spiritual despair and depression. Understanding the multidimensional nature of the human being, coupled with the application of new therapeutic modalities based on the use of subtle energies, will allow the adoption of more natural, less traumatic, non-toxic, and more efficient healing methods. Knowledge of how these energetic and informative fields interact within subtle anatomy and physiology is an essential prerequisite for the development of more effective and profound clinical and therapeutic strategies with regard to the multidimensional treatment of being.
And we're back. What would you like to say about that? You're muted, by the way. Dr. Paul, if you'd like to unmute, or I could unmute you.
Yeah, I leave you the last word, Shelley.
Oh, well, thank you so very much. My last word was really to conclude with some humor and some of these beautiful songs that a fellow named Scott Grace had written. However, I'll have to include that on the next one because the link, when I pulled it up just now, it's not a live link. So we'll bypass that. However, I did have another quote from Rumi. Of course, I always love Rumi, but he was talking about, are you afraid of being left behind, and how being left behind is a mechanism which ego responds by exerting more effort to control the all instead of acknowledging the divine order. And so with that, I just wanted to say that remember to laugh and look for that light in your day. And we will say aloha for now, but for those of you who'd like to stay and watch the video, I'll play that for you, of Jamie's energetic movement. I'm not sure what she calls it. I don't know if she has a name for it. But anyways, we'll see you all on the next Conscious Momentum. Thank you so much for joining us. Aloha.